The 2020 Formula 1 season has, as I'm sure you're all aware, been severely affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. Because of the virus, large swathes of the calendar have either been postponed indefinitely or outright cancelled. Several changes have been put in place to make up for the lost races, such as the inclusion of 2 races at both Silverstone and Austria's Red Bull Ring. There is also talk of hosting races at tracks that were not originally slated for the 2020 season. The frontrunners to host these races currently are Imola, which last saw F1 action in 2006, and Mugello, which has never hosted a Formula 1 race. The notion that tracks that weren't originally on the calendar could end up hosting races in 2020 got us thinking though. What would be the best tracks to pick up the slack and host a race? Now before you get very angry and tell us how unrealistic any of these tracks hosting a Grand Prix are, we know. These aren't by any means serious suggestions for the FIA, we're just having a bit of fun. Right, let's get into it. First on the list comes from the land down under. We're talking about Bathurst. The Mount Panorama circuit is one of the craziest racing tracks on the planet. I mean, the name alone gives away why this track is so cool. It's literally built on the side of a mountain. Okay, so technically it's a hill, not a mountain, but still, just look at it. If you think Baku's castle section is tight, wait until you see the mountain section at Bathurst. It's one of the most technical stretches of track anywhere in the world, with drivers fighting traction loss as their car goes light with elevation changes. And best of all, it's technically a street circuit, with the track open to the public when supercars aren't racing here. That means the walls are right up next to the track, so there's no room for error. Could F1 ever host a race here? Almost definitely not, but just imagine the carnage. Next on our list is Laguna Seca. I could probably just say Corkscrew and be done with this track, but I'll indulge for just a moment. To give the track its full name, the WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca actually hosts a round of IndyCar and has been hosting open wheel racing since as far back as 1983 and very nearly hosted a Formula 1 race in 1989. It's a great track with some good overtaking spots, but let's be honest, that's not why it's on our list. No. The reason is of course the famous Turn 8 Corkscrew. It's a blind crest leading to an 18-metre drop in elevation over the course of just 450 feet of track. That's 5.5 stories. It is a truly terrifying corner, and what's even more mental is the fact that up until 2013, MotoGP actually held a round of the championship at Laguna Seca. The nutjobs over in that series were flying down the Corkscrew on bikes. Crazy stuff. The third track is really very out there, so bear with us on this one. It all stems from a tweet from Alex Brundle, which suggests running a Formula 1 race in September as a support race for the delayed 24 Hours of Le Mans. Now, the notion of F1 being a support race to anything has probably made several F1 fans violently throw up. But just imagine for a second how cool a race at the Circuit de la Sarthe would be. It's a great track, with long flowing corners, heavy braking zones for overtakes, as well as spots for some more spectacular moves. The track meets almost none of the specifications required to host a round of the championship, but in our Fantasyland it could be a brilliant alternative. And surely anything is better than Paul Ricard, right? Heading back to North America for track number 4, Long Beach is our next pick. The tight street circuit in California currently plays host to both IndyCar and IMSA, amongst other series, and there is usually complete chaos. The way the pit lane is laid out means the teams do not have access to the paddock as it's on the other side of the street, and with such limited space in the pit lane, they can't bring endless spare parts. There are also comical examples of cars getting stuck to each other when trying to overtake and blocking the entire track. When it comes to the actual racing, it's a very fun track to drive, and as a spectator, it'd probably be the closest you could get to the cars. The reality is, there are several other North American tracks in line ahead of Long Beach to host the second US Grand Prix, but none of them would provide the same comedy factor. And finally, the last track on the list is Brands Hatch. It's my local track and I would never forgive myself for not putting it forward to host Formula 1 action. I'm under no illusions here. There are already 2 races being hosted in the UK in 2020, and if any other track was granted a license for a third race, it would be Donington. But just for a second, imagine modern day Formula 1 cars flying down Paddock Hill Bend, up around the Druids Hairpin, and through my favourite corner name in all of motorsport, Dingle Dell. For that reason alone, I think it deserves a spot on the F1 calendar. And that's it for our list, but we want to hear what you think. Leave a comment with the tracks you'd like to see on the calendar this year and a reason why. And if you've enjoyed this video, please leave a like. And if you fancy it, subscribe for more content like this in the future. Thanks for watching, we'll see you next time.